Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, probably. Okay, great. So welcome everyone to a special episode of GameBusters. This is a podcast from GameLuster.com. Today we are going to be doing a Spoilercast. We haven't done one in a bit, just because of, I guess, reasons. I don't know.
I don't play video games, that's why it kind of gets in the way.
I wasn't going to say it out loud, but yeah. The only video game Rhi has played in the last year is Mass Effect 3 times and then Dragon Age Origins again.
I actually feel so seen, but so accurate.
Yeah, so anyway, what I want to do is just kind of, this is going to be probably a little bit shorter episode because we're on a tight schedule, but yeah, we just are going to kind of talk about the game and our thoughts on it, and of course, I think as the title should indicate, this is like completely like full spoilers, so like if you have not played the game, don't listen to this, obviously. I don't know what to tell you. Or if you are going to do it, then just like be cool about it, right? Like, could you just be cool about it? Anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I am Nirav, and I'm going to be your host as always, and I am joined by my lovely co-host Rhi.
Howdy.
We have two new guests, today. We haven't had before, so we have DJ from, I guess, Discord. Where are you from?
Yeah, hey, nice to meet you all. I'm glad to be here. My name's DJ, and I am from Colorado, actually.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. You can give us some insight into the Colorado-ness of this game.
Yes, there's a lot of it.
Yeah. And then we have Adam, I guess also who lives in my Discord.
Yeah, I'm another Discord person. Yeah, I'm Adam, and I'm from just outside Glasgow.
Oh. Glasgow. Excellent. Hey, say Edinburgh.
No, this is so bad. Edinburgh.
Hey. All right.
Just because you're going to call it like Edinburgh or something, aren't you, Nirav?
Edinburgh?
Well, okay, it was kind of like that. Edinburgh.
Yeah, I mean, that's what people say here because they don't know what the pronunciation is.
Edinburgh. When we get Glasgow as well.
Yeah, people. Well, I mean, like it's closer. People say Glasgow or Glasgow. I think people actually say Glasgow here, which is definitely
like
not.
Moscow. Oh.
Yeah, because like Moscow. Yeah. Because like that's how it's spelled. You guys got to spell it right. Also, Rhi, don't what were we talking about earlier with like the Shire places that you guys have?
Oh yeah,
like
I think I kept saying words like, was it Gloucestershire, and stuff like that, and then you just like got mad and started calling it Fuckfordshire or something.
Yeah, okay, I was mad about Jane Austen. I'm not like always mad about Jane Austen, but it is most of the time.
It is a semi-regular occurrence.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So if I'm actually really interested in the fact that we got some different like people from some different parts of the world here. I'm curious about first like so actually first let's talk about this. So did all of y'all play all the other Life is Strange games?
Yes.
Yes. All
yeah.
right.
I just played the first one and now this one.
Okay. And Adam?
Yeah, I played them all, and Tell Me Why, but I didn't play, was it Twin Mirror?
Twin Mirror.
Yeah, they came out like a month after Tell Me Why, and
I think not good timing.
I think it also came out the same week as like the PS5 and stuff like that. And it's like,
I think it did actually came out the same day as like the PS5, but was not like on there.
I genuinely found out that this game existed like when True Colors came out. So obviously was not very like well advertised.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have sort of built an infamous reputation. If you look on OpenCritic, of the like 75 reviews of Twin Mirror, mine is the highest one in the world.
Oh
wow. Now I think I probably rated it a little too high. I think I gave it like an 8.5. I think it's probably more like an 8. I think would be better.
Still pretty good.
I thought it was good. I thought it genuinely was like the Don't Nod's best game since the first Life is Strange. But like most people gave it like 3s and 4s.
Jesus Christ!
Wow,
really?
It has like it's like 5% recommended, and I think that 5% is me.
You're holding it up. I mean, at this point, they just shouldn't count you. Really, it was just such an outlier.
really shouldn't know. So interestingly, I think before True Colors, like so Twin Mirror actually also takes place in a sleepy mountain town in Colorado, and is basically like a similar. I mean, the idea is not similar, but like the vibe is very similar. They definitely tried to go for the same atmosphere, and I thought they did a pretty good job with that game. And then like I played this one, and I kind of retroactively realized that one was like shit.
I actually had like a similar experience with True Colors. Not that I think the first one's shit now in retrospect, but I think, in my opinion anyway, True Colors did what the first Life is Strange was wanting to do a little bit better. I mean, they kind of go for different themes, but I mean,
right. I also don't. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
think they do mental health a lot better in True Colors than they do in the first
Yeah.
one.
I also don't know how hot of a take this is anymore, because I thought I was doing a hot take like a week ago, but I do think True Colors is like the best game in the series.
Yeah, easily. Like, it's not even... I don't have to think about it, really.
Yeah. But I wanted that to be really hot, but then I saw a lot of people agreeing with me and got sad.
Yeah, I personally love the second one, but I know that's like a controversial opinion. I think that is the hot take. That 2 is the best one.
That's a good hot take. Yeah, I didn't hate the second one for sure. I think it's like a good solid 7. I think it's good. I just like, I don't know. I think one of the main things that 2 suffered from is that they were on the road the whole time, and so like the cast of characters kept changing constantly, and like you couldn't really like connect to anybody besides Sean and Daniel sucks, and then like, so it was like kind of hard because it was like, I don't know. I didn't get to do the. I think the thing I liked so much about the first game is that like I got to pretend to be like a freshman in college again for a little while and like live the drama and the horror of it at the same time, you know? And that was like kind of fun. And then like the second one was like the police are trying to catch you, like run.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. That I said something pretty similar recently when trying to distill my thoughts on like why didn't I like 2 nearly as much, and I think you're right. It comes down to the characters and the fact that, you know, it really is just 2 characters. You need those 2 characters to be incredibly strong if they're going to carry a 5-episode story, and they simply don't.
Yeah, and I know that people who play, and I played it after the whole thing came out. I was actually like waiting because I knew they were gonna like, I heard they were like taking longer, and then like I know that the game took like a year and a half to come out.
Oh god,
completely.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was a huge mess. Like they had a bunch of development issues, and like I think between the first chapter and second chapter it was like a 2-month time, and then like it just got longer and longer to the point that like between the 4th and 5th episode was like 5 months.
Oh
Yeah,
my lord.
they even had a situation where with the console versions, the physical copies of Life is Strange 2, 1 through 4 are on the disc, and then the 5 is just like a code.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, like I don't know, it's interesting because like after that, like, you know, Don't Nod decided they were gonna like not work with Square Enix anymore. Which is and then they went on and they made, as I said, like, you know, we talked about Tell Me Why and Twin Mirror, both of which were like mediocrely received, I think. I do hope that they put out some other banger. I think that genuinely, I think their best shot at putting out a banger is to just like make Vampire 2 and like make it good instead. Do you know what I mean?
I liked Vampire.
I did too.
I think it's good. It's not like I don't know. Like I think the combat being really shitty kind of held it back, and I think the RPG stuff is not done super well. But like the dialogue stuff and the character webs and everything is like so clever and fascinating. Like, and the characters are really good. Like just like the actual like fighting stuff. I actually had way more fun with it after I like modded it a little bit and just made myself invincible.
Yeah, do you know...
like, the combat actually became a lot more fun.
On the PlayStation version, if you plug in a keyboard, you can push Y, I think, and you level up every time you push Y. And they left it.
That's
they left it in.
incredible.
I don't know if they meant to leave it in or not. I don't know if you remember when Dead Island first came out, if you pushed V on PC, you would no-clip. And that was in, like day one.
Wow.
Like,
Phenomenal stuff.
That's just game
Yeah.
development. So let's get into True Colors. So I personally think that I really liked Max as a protagonist. I think that there are some... I've seen some people be a little contentious about her as a character. I liked her a lot. I related to her quite easily. I think that I actually related to Alex a good bit better, and maybe it's just because she was, like, I think a little more fleshed out, actually. I don't know. I really... So one thing that I, like, really tried to, like, I guess stress to people about this game is that, like, I love it. I love that the game makes pretty much zero attempts to, like, make Alex endearing to you as a character. Whereas, like, with, like, Max, it was like, oh, look at this, like, quirky girl. We love her. Like,
yes. I had that thought last night when I was completing it, that Max is, like, such a blank slate because they want as many people as possible to relate to her. Not, like, a complete blank slate, of course, but, you know, she's a lot more passive. She hasn't got, like, baggage with her, whereas Alex has so much baggage, and that it means you're either going to really relate to her or you're really not. And I think I put out a tweet when I was on the first episode, and I went through her text, because you can go through her text from, like, the last 4 years, and I found myself relating to her so hard. Like, it's so vivid. They put so much work into, like, building up her backstory, the things that she's gone through, and... You know, if you can relate to it, like, even a little bit, it, like, hits you like a ton of bricks, just how much work they've put into crafting this character. Yeah. It's so devastating.
Those texts, like, at the beginning were, like, such a good move, and it, like, sets, like, because I did sit there right when I got off and I read through all of them, and, like, it sets, like, the tone for the story and for this character, like, so well, like, right off the bat, and, like, my first reaction to this was, like, hey, Alex seems like a person who needs a little bit of work done. Like, I don't... like, the thing is, like... but I didn't dislike her. I was like, I don't know if this person would be, like, a healthy person to be friends with, as she is right now. But I think that's okay, and I guess that's why she's here.
yeah, for real.
I don't know, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I thought Alex... I think probably what made it a little easier than previous games is that she is not a fully developed adult, but she's finding her place societally, emotionally, relationally. She's at a point where, that probably a lot of us can relate to as we've grown up with the series. We're dealing with a character who isn't, oh my God, I'm in school. I've just gone through puberty and now I have this massive, sword of Damocles above me for whatever, trauma is going on. Alex is like, also the fresh start aspect. I think that's what really struck me about this game was, all the other games, either our character or in the case of 2, Daniel, we're with them as they're encountering their powers for the first time. Whereas this time they're already there and we don't even know really how or when she got them, just that they've been there. And we're here as she, kind of has a fresh start.
Right. And, like, all the previous games have really been, like, a coming-of-age story, which is, like, cool and everything, but, like, I do think it's kind of, like, we did that already, and maybe that is another reason that people didn't connect with 2 as strongly, because, like, they did sort of do another coming-of-age story again, but, like, to a lot of people less effectively, but, like, this being, like, this is basically, like, a story largely about, like, overcoming grief, which is, I think, something that no matter how old you are or whatever, like, you have had to do at some point,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's also, like, Alex is someone who has already been through, like, loads of stories in her life. This isn't the start of her story. It's kind of the end of it in a way. And I think like, those of us that played the first Life is Strange when we were in high school, when we were in college, like, now we're at an age where we're probably emotionally more like, more like Alex than we are Max now.
I think you're absolutely right.
We've been through so much since the last Life is Strange came out, especially with COVID, So I think we needed sort of like this, like, very cathartic story, especially at the, the whole theme again, like, not just of grief, but also sort of like, I read it as like, the little people getting stomped on by Typhon. That's probably something a lot of us have become aware to in the world since the first Life is Strange. So it felt like it was made for people sort of like us who have grown up a lot since.
can I talk about my conspiracy theory
Oh, let's hear it.
with this
Oh,
game?
God.
So if you'll notice that the story actually ends in August 2019, and that's sort of a weird time for it to end, right? Because it's pretty close to now, but it's not now. I think that they did that so that the story would not have to deal with the ramifications of COVID. I think that they pushed literally just changed the dates near the end of development to make it so it happened before that.
Yeah, because there's no reason why it has to be set in the past. I was struck by that when I realised this was all taking place in 2019. I was like, why is it? Why can't this just be a 2021 story? There's nothing that makes it.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be. I think they just literally changed the
Yeah,
year
I think
dates like on
I think that
everything.
makes sense.
That's quite funny.
Because I was playing it with my girlfriend and we kept making jokes like, oh, why are they not wearing masks and stuff like that? But it's like,
That's what I was thinking.
if it actually was in 2021, you're
Imagine
like,
what a game that would make. Just every character's like, you know, we who's the anti-masker in Haven Springs?
Oh my god, no, that's another thing. Yeah, there would be.
And it's by the way, it's Ducky.
Oh no, don't! I love Ducky, but he 100% would be. He would not be getting a vaccine.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think that like this is almost a side note, but like I've been thinking a lot about how like it seems that like I think we are gonna I think this is sort of the state of things going forward. Like obviously we're gonna have to keep getting like vaccines every year as things change, and like probably just kind of keep wearing masks when we can and where we can for the like indefinite future. And like there is gonna have to be a point where movies and video games and TV shows like accept that is what things are, and stories that take place in this time like have people all wearing masks all the time. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I don't mind the masks, but I hate like, in like November, December last year when like comedy started using like COVID jokes. It's like, come on, we don't need this.
God.
Yeah.
The only show that did that well was Superstore.
Oh, and like when
yeah,
adverts started using COVID, that was I think the worst. That was when we like reached this apocalyptic point.
In like May or June when like everyone had like finally accepted that it was like here and everything, like I just remember this fucking swarm of emails from like
Oh no.
E-Trade, stocks, and like Chipotle, like we're committed to protecting you from COVID. It's just literally like dozens of these emails
Yeah.
every day. Like God, I hated it
Also,
so much.
just like every email having to open with, "I hope you're staying safe in these uncertain
in
times."
these difficult times. Jesus.
Yeah, I think we are going to have that with games soon enough. You know, we've already had, you know, quarantine or COVID-centric TV shows, seasons, and movies and whatnot. Given the longer development timeline of games, I think we are going to get some. Hopefully they're handled a little bit better than the other entertainment, but I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to them.
It's a hard one because like lockdown gives you so many emotions to work with, but then like physically, how do you tell those stories? Because we spent lockdown, feeling like a lot of emotions, but also being stuck inside all day. So it's kind of hard to have a video game centered around that.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, but like to get back on the topic of the story. So, another thing I do want to talk about is when the game sort of started and like Alex sort of was like revealing to us, the audience, like what her powers are. I had basically the exact same thought at first that like she did, which like this is like more of a curse than a superpower.
Yeah, it's kind of awful when you stop to think about it. She can, it's not just emotions, like she straight up just reads people's minds. Who wants that?
Right, and like I think that she has like some modicum of control over it. She's not like always reading people's minds, but like there is a point like she's shown like if people feel strongly enough, she like can't help it, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And like man, that sucks. Like, and at first I was thinking like, how the fuck am I gonna use this superpower to like do anything good? Because this sucks. I don't know. What did you guys think?
Yeah,
Like at the beginning.
yeah, because there were some awkward moments where, this is like later on, but it's like when you choose between Steph and Ryan, and then you can read his mind if you don't pick him, and then he's like, "Oh, she didn't pick me." And it's like, oh, like, did we need to know that?
Been there.
Yeah. Yeah, because especially before the game came out, like, I think a lot of people were kind of making fun of it, like, oh, the power is like feelings. So I was kind of like, how are they actually going to use this in the game? Like, because obviously in the first game, there'll be bits where you find out information and then you go back and then you can tell that person that information, and they do that in this game too at some bits. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the really clever thing about the first Life is Strange that I usually use it to sell people on it is that like, because you have that like time rewinding time powers, like every time you make a decision, every decision feels like the wrong one, and it will force you to go back in time and try other things, and all of them will feel like they're the wrong decision all the time.
Yeah,
and there's no way to like make it better.
I think they really did a good job of making every option feel shit in this game as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the big ones for me was, and this is like when I realized, oh, this is going to be a really good game, was it's when you're dealing with Charlotte. I think is that her name, Charlotte, in episode 3.
Is this like in her studio?
Yes.
You mean?
And
yeah. That. Oh man, that was fucking rough in
was,
there. Yeah.
I realized that this game knows what it's doing, because I thought she was just going to be like this really like kind of stereotypical like grieving partner. But then she actually straight up says that she's angry at her son and she's angry at you, and she like it's not logical for her to be, but she is. And like that whole scene was just done so bloody well. I was like, and then you have that choice of like taking away her anger or leaving her with it, and both options just sound terrible. But
yeah,
what option do you guys do in the end actually? Because I left her with the anger in the end.
I ended up taking the anger from her. I didn't really want to, but you know, it doesn't really allow her to resolve this situation on her own. But I was worried there was some messaging in that scene that made me think that she may harm herself.
Yeah, that's why I felt awful
if you don't resolve it. So I did ultimately take it because I didn't want that to be the end of that character potentially.
I had the same thought. Like it did make me a little bit worried about that potential, and so I did like very reluctant. Like I think I like paused the game and just like went to like get a drink because I had to like think about it. But like yeah, I did ultimately choose to do that, and like I don't know. I feel like that might have been the wrong decision in retrospect because of like how she reacted afterwards, and like okay, so this is interesting. I mean, Rhi, so when you talked to the sheriff guy at the department, did you end up like taking his fear away?
I actually didn't, because like but that was
really?
The decision I thought about the most, because I thought no, that's probably not the right thing to do. I feel like I thought that maybe there'd be a way to resolve his fear in another way. But ultimately it was because then you find out that Steph and Ryan are in trouble. And that sort of swayed it for me. I was like, I love these two. I don't want anything to happen to them. And like, so I remember like getting into that scene, and he gives you this form to sign, and he's like, please sign it, you'll be safe. And I remember thinking at the beginning of that scene, there is nothing this guy can say to convince me to sign it. And I walked away signing it. So yeah. I think this game really does.
Sweet talker.
It does a very good job of, giving you two awful decisions.
Right. So maybe you didn't experience this then, what happens when you take away the emotions, but like after I took away like Charlotte's anger, and then like basically she like basically talked about the fact later that like she couldn't feel anymore.
Oh wow.
Like she basically had like we took away her ability to feel emotions.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't do that. Like, I left her with anger purely because the game didn't explain like what that actually meant. So I was thinking
right.
Like it's just easier to not. But then with the like when you can choose to take the fear away from the sheriff, I did do that because it was like I feel like that was like the only option. I think it was I guess it was like selfish because like taking away Charlotte's anger doesn't do anything for you, but taking away his fear is like the easy way out. But I didn't notice any negative stuff with him, like in terms of him not being able to feel. So I don't know if that's like because she was angry, it was more powerful or something like that.
I think the whole thing with Charlotte was that if you take away the anger, you're sort of speeding up or like interrupting the grieving process.
Yeah.
But then like
that's a good call.
Which you shouldn't do, because people. I think the way I thought about it was, this sucks, but this is something she's gonna have to feel. Whereas with the sheriff, his fear isn't constructive at all. It is just, I guess, because he's a bit of a fucking coward, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and like it sucked. I definitely think I made the wrong call leaving him with that fear, because he did not help me at all at the end, and that sucked.
Oh no, he did not help me either. Also, Charlotte did not help me at the end because she's like, Alex, you did something to me and I can't feel anymore. Something's wrong with you.
Oh my
and I was like,
God.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I think it may be either during episode 4 or 5. There's a period in which you can go see Charlotte on the docks.
Yeah,
And given the decision that I made in taking her anger away, she was just miserable talking to her later on the docks.
yeah.
I think Rhi probably made a good call with that. Like, I do think that the story implication of that is that you are interrupting the grieving process, and she's not like ever gonna like be able to like reach the acceptance stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll need to go back and watch that because I really did feel like they were leaning into the self-harm implications with her.
That was something. And like when I went to see her on the docks, like the implication I got was like, holy shit, she's gonna jump in or something. That's sort of the threat
Into this 3 foot deep lake. Oh
yeah,
no.
like I don't know, she's drowned herself in a fucking puddle or something. Maybe she's reached that level of desperation. But it like the implication was like, you know, you've probably done the right thing here, but also she could be a ticking time bomb, basically. So that was sort of a constant anxiety in my playthrough. I was thinking, oh my god, what have I done? What have I done? I definitely like. I'm glad I made that decision in the end. It's one of the few decisions I'm like, yeah, I made the right one there.
So I do want to like we'll get to this. Actually, let's do this before I forget. So, DJ, tell us about the one thing I really want to look at is one complaint that people had about Life is Strange 1 and 2 is that Don't Nod, of course, is a French studio, and the dialogue felt a little bit jarring at points because it was being written for like teenagers from the Pacific Northwest by like French men in their 30s.
And it really showed.
And it did show, and it was like fine, and like it's okay, shakah, brah, like it's fine, and
hella
like, and I did okay. The hella thing is real.
It was real for 5 minutes.
like,
it was already out of date
no,
by the time it came. I was at.
Oh, it's back. They brought it back.
Oh, no, delete. No, not happening.
Actually, like legitimately, after that, I did see it like actually come back in a big way,
Oh,
and
no.
like a lot of people like for several years like said hella very like casually around me, which was fun. I think it's faded away again by now though. But
For the best.
anyway, yeah. So yeah, I guess the point I want to get to is that Deck 9, the studio that made this game, is actually based in like the rural part of Colorado. And they wanted to do something more close to home so they could kind of nail the feeling of being there and the feeling of how people talk. So yeah, being from there, like give us some insight. How did that go?
Sure, yeah. So I've actually been to Deck 9's office just a couple times.
Oh, wow.
But just like kind of peering in the doorway, saying hi. But it's a real nice place, but it's just a kind of quaint.
Can you just like walk over to Nintendo and like peer in the doorway and say hi?
I'm gonna guess no. But
Okay.
this is a pretty standard office in a normal office building. So, but yeah, so their offices are pretty close to some mountains, not the kind that you see in True Colors, but
Sure.
it is certainly an authentic Colorado experience for them on a day-to-day basis. But when it came to True Colors, I was really impressed. Especially because I know that they have had to rely a lot on remote work and contractors. And, given that a meaningful portion of this game was developed during COVID, I imagine there were a lot of people who didn't necessarily get to experience what the setting that is shown in the game. I did notice some really cool flavor stuff in some of the texts that on Alex's phone from people, just conversations that like, specifically about driving and ability to drive in the snow for out-of-state transplants. Like, you cannot go a day in public in the winter months here without hearing or having that conversation with someone. And it's so tired and it's such a dumb conversation, but you cannot avoid it. And it was very authentic of them to
Sure.
include that. The setting itself was beautiful and it's realistic. Like, I've been to multiple towns that really do evoke the same vibes and look as breathtaking as Haven Springs. I've got my own theory on what Haven Springs really is. I think it's a combination of probably many, but specifically 2 towns in Colorado, one called Idaho Springs and another one called Estes Park. So that's my theory.
I actually remember seeing mentions from, and I don't know if it was like from interviews with Deck 9 or anything, but like I remember before launch someone saying like in an article that like it was based off the town of Estes Springs, or what it's called, Estes Park.
Yeah, Estes Park and Idaho Springs.
I remember that. Okay. They definitely mentioned that somewhere, so I think you're probably right on that. Yeah, I think the dialogue flowed a little more freely in this one, which I liked a lot, and also we should give a shout out to the motion capture for the faces.
Yes.
Does like wonders for this game.
The eyes
were very, very weirdly good.
It's gonna be really
like,
hard because I'm gonna go back to the first one and then do the second one. It's gonna be
wait for the remaster.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's gonna be weird going back to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was like really cool. Like, and just like the general production value of the whole affair, like you could tell was like there was a lot more money put into this one, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think is cool. Like, I'm glad that Square, because like these games have sold like pretty well. Like, it's still a very niche thing though. Like, I think Life is Strange 1 sold like 3.5 million copies, something like that. Which is like still good, but like for like a Square Enix game is like, okay, that's neat. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how
like
cute.
they definitely have done bigger stuff than that.
Still pretty good though, considering like at the time it was just such a different game. I mean, obviously like Telltale games are like that, but in terms of tone,
but it was
and
like, what if we did
matter,
like Telltale, but it was like good this time?
What if we actually made improvements to the formula for the first time in 6 years, and it turned out that people wanted that. So
Yeah.
I do love some of Telltale's games. I think there's a very different like thing to them than Life is Strange though. Like of course they're like the same genre of this like narrative like adventure game, but like I don't know, like I feel like and I will go ahead and say like this True Colors is definitely better than anything Telltale has produced. Maybe like I love the season 1 of The Walking Dead is like a fucking fantastic game. That game is so fucking good. Everyone should go play that. But like I don't know, something about this game made me feel like I had like more agency than like a lot of the other things. Even though it did come down to a lot of like just decisions like to like just like yes or no decisions almost, like I don't know, like, and I felt like a lot of them had to like evoked like a lot of thought in me, and I had to sit there and be like, should I like do this or not, like, and like I guess I got really invested in the character and her relationships with other people, like, because it was like making me really, really consider like, should I do this or not. Yeah, I don't know, like I just don't feel like I don't feel like even with their best stuff, I feel like Telltale didn't quite hit that. But anyway, that's just me.
No, I feel that as well. I mean, like, I don't mean this in a bad way, because I like Telltale games, but sometimes it can just feel like a ride that you're on, and then you occasionally stop and make a choice, and then you can go on a different bit of the ride. Whereas this, it felt like a world you were kind of absorbing, and a story you were absorbing. Mainly, like, on a technical point, that is because you had these points of downtime where you could just sort of go around the town and explore at your own leisure. You didn't have to do a lot of stuff, a lot of it was optional. But also just because I think it was so vivid, obviously helped by the fact that they knew the location they were making the game in, so a lot of the stuff will be familiar to them. But even like the characters came across as so vivid. They just felt like actual people, which was really fucking
it was wild. I've never seen it. No. Yeah, so what did you guys think of who were some of your favorite and I guess least favorite characters, if there were any?
I actually can't think of one where I'm like, I didn't really like this. I could say something nice about the writing of every character.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like there are definitely characters that like I hate because they're supposed to be hateable characters, but like I don't think any of them were like weakly written in any way.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Yeah. We'll have to have the Steph and Ryan debate in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to put it off.
I did think there.
I mean, well, okay.
Hold on the
Go
characters.
No, go ahead.
I do think there were some that were maybe a little underutilized that I thought would maybe have a bigger role, or that I wish we interacted more with. Specifically, Riley.
Yeah, so I think I missed a whole bunch of dialogue with Riley because there was a selection at the end, like, where you had to, like, go talk to her at a specific point, and you could have like convinced her like go to college or not go to college, and choose to like tell her or not tell her about her mother.
Yeah, she's at the bus
and, like,
stop during the festival.
Yeah,
the
bus stop thing. Like, I didn't even see her at a bus stop.
It's because the game doesn't
So,
tell
like,
you can leave. You know, like when the festival's going on, there's like stuff going on in the actual town, but the game never like makes you go there, so you could just miss it like easily.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was because you do like a little bit of stuff at the festival, and then you hear that you have to go to the stage, so you have to like make a point to just put that off as long as possible and go and explore the town. And like you get that interaction with Ducky where you can talk to him about his wife, and then you go all the way to the bus stop, and there's also like some other NPC interactions along the way. I really love that sequence. They did not do a very good job of signaling to you that's something you could do, but I don't really mind that. I was sort of exploring every nook and cranny in that game anyway, so
I definitely had the like. I think subconsciously I was just like, oh, this is the festival part. I can't leave the festival, so I didn't even try. No, I liked Riley a lot. I would have liked to have spent some more time hanging out with her. So yeah, the like the festival thing with the rose. Did everyone choose Steph? I assume.
Yes.
no.
I'm looking at the.
Oh my god. Wait, hold on.
On the choices,
Hold on.
68% of people give it to Steph.
Yeah, 68% of people made the right decision.
What did you?
So I went.
And what did you do?
I went with Ryan. Yeah.
Ooh.
Look, it was the beard. I'm a sucker for them. I was so like, I was so torn on it for so long. I'm already planning another playthrough where I get with Steph instead. I don't hate Ryan. He's just a bit of a bitch.
I'm sure he would love to hear that now that you've decided to be with him.
So. I love Ryan a lot. He didn't side with me at the end, which I'm a bit bitter about. He didn't side with me because I made one fucking decision wrong as well. I made all the decisions leading up to the sort of confrontation with his dad completely correct. And then you have the option to either say to him, like when you go to him, say either, do you support me or I'm sorry. And I said I'm sorry because I thought that's a nice thing to say when you just found out your dad is a complete liar and responsible for deaths. That was the wrong decision. If I had said, do you support me, he would have supported me according to all the guides I've seen. Steph is the best girl because she will just support you no matter what.
I literally can't imagine how somebody could have played this game in a way that Steph wouldn't support them at the end. I actually don't even know if that's possible, is it?
I don't think it is. I think she's
I don't
the one
think
person
so.
Who will always. I looked up a guide afterwards because it just felt very strange that Ryan didn't support me at the end. I mean, I know it's dad, so I wasn't like too angry about it, but yeah, it's just he's the hardest to get to side with you, and she's the easiest to get to side with you. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at the choices now, and she's not listed as like a percentage thing.
Yeah, that would make sense. So for me, the only person who supported me at the end was Eleanor. Everyone else fucked me over, threw me under the bus.
Everyone else? Oh.
Yeah, everybody. They hated me. They were so rude.
Oh my god. The only one I didn't get was Ryan and the sheriff, and that was it.
I only got Steph, Pike, and Ducky.
See, you did better than me, though. How did you get Ducky? Apparently he's the hardest
I got everyone except for Ducky.
That's what Rhi was mentioning, where during the festival, if you go into...
Oh, you have to like go find him?
You go into the bar, and he's in there and having a rough night because his longtime deceased wife, they really made an event out of the festival every year for decades. And you basically go through this dialogue tree with him, where he's explaining his emotions and how he's feeling and how he feels like he can't have a good time, or that it would almost be disrespectful for her or to her for him to have a good time without her. And you have a series of options of what you can do. I didn't think it was really that hard of a choice, but basically you can choose to turn on the jukebox and Alex will dance with Ducky to like one of him and his wife's favorite songs, and that basically convinces him to side with you.
Okay, interesting. I do want to like ask because like I mean while like the ending decision of course is like should you stay in Haven Springs or go, like, and I think that's fine. Like I think it's not really that contentious of a choice. Like whichever one you picked, it's like okay, I kind of get what you're going for. I think the real decision, of course, is the like, do you forgive Jed or not? Like, that one like really like kind of threw me, because like I did take a little bit to think on it, but like I did go for the I condemn you, because my reasoning being that like this man like was responsible for so many deaths like years and years ago, and he had all that time to atone. And the fact that he tried to cover it up means that he did not feel regret for it. And so I did not forgive him.
He felt no remorse until he was caught
and
confronted.
Until he was cornered. Yes, absolutely not. He did not deserve forgiveness.
Yeah. Now the thing he did in the mines, that wasn't like an evil thing, right? That was like a mistake that he made. So, yeah, it's like, I forgive him for making the mistake, but yeah, it's the fact that it's been, like, however many years, and he's been, like, hiding it.
And then he tried to also kill us. I think everyone who picked, like, I forgive you must have forgotten that, like, an hour ago he threw you into a mine shaft and shot you in the head.
Actually, I can't believe it's not more, like, 50-50. It's 28% of people didn't forgive him. Like, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, most people forgave him?
I forgave him.
Oh my god.
I was like, I could go either way. At that point, I was mainly playing to the crowd because I wanted everyone to side with me.
What, were you streaming this?
No, I mean, like, to the town. I wanted everyone to side with me, so I was like, I don't want to, like,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I thought it was going to play into that. I thought, you know, I need to look like I'm being reasonable here, even though I'm covered in blood.
Because you shot me in the head.
Yeah, exactly. But like, they didn't know that, so I was like, I want this to come across like I just want the truth to come out. I don't want anyone to, I don't want to destroy anyone's conceptions of who he is. I just want the truth to come out. So that's why I did it.
I did want to destroy their conceptions, though, is the thing.
Well, I did, but I didn't want them to think that that's what I wanted to do. So, like I said, I don't blame him so much for the whole mine thing, because yeah, he made a mistake. But it's the whole...
Yeah, but then, like, owning up to the mistake and, like, you know, making good on it is not something that happened, though. I can kind of
forgive him for going through the motions when it's Typhon, you know, because I would think, okay, well, he's just made this horrific mistake. He's being told by this big company, oh, well, we can get rid of it and you can have a happy life with your, you know, your wife and son. And I can forgive him for that bit, but I can't forgive him for trying to fucking kill me. You know, that's the point where it's like... That's probably the only bit in the equation I'm like, all right, you're just being a dick at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's at that point, it's not passive. It's not him just sort of keeping his head down and trying to forget it didn't happen. It's him actually taking an active role. So.
Yeah, with what he did to Alex, it was very clear that there was no bridge he was not willing to cross to continue to protect himself and, by extension, Typhon.
Yeah.
One thing...
Like, it was just
something I didn't like about the game, but I'm sure that like there's some like explanation. Is it like there's bits where you can basically like read people's minds and get information out of them that they wouldn't want to give. So like, you know, the jelly bean person, like you can find out how many there are.
Yeah.
But obviously she doesn't want to like tell people that. I didn't understand how Jed could like hide all of his emotions the whole game. Like I feel like Alex should have been able to tell like something's up.
I think it's because, well, she talked about the fact that, like, she can only feel it when people, like, sort of, like, feeling strongly. And I think the idea was, or in my mind at least, was that, like, Jed had sort of rewritten history in his own head to make himself the hero. And I think they talked about it out loud, is that
you can actually
Alex kind of addressed him, like, you don't even remember what you did anymore, do you? Like, you rewrote it in your head so that you were a hero.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cause that was bothering me the whole time. Because I think I complained the other day that like I had a spoiler, and that was the spoiler. The fact that he's the bad guy. That I got like I think I got it when I was in episode 2.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's because I was working and I forgot what his name was, so I just like searched on the wiki. And the fucking introduction to this guy is...
And it just said, like, Jed is the villain of Life is Strange. Jesus Christ.
The first sentence in the Life is Strange wiki, bear in mind, it said less than a week after it came out, is... Jed is the secondary antagonist in Life is Strange True Colors. Great. Thanks, you know?
Great.
So, yeah. Anyway, I digress. My point was that I was playing it at that point thinking, why isn't this motherfucker giving me any hints? Why isn't he giving me anything to work with? So that did sort of irk me. But then, yeah, the confrontation at the end, like you said, one of the lines you can say is, like, you think you're a hero. You know, you've written yourself as the hero. So I can get that. Doesn't excuse,
Yeah.
throwing me down a mine and shooting me.
Right. No. Like I also like I definitely had that moment though when when it panned the camera and he had the gun out and I just my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my fucking god.
I was gonna ask, did you guys suspect him that he would be the bad guy?
Because I did not
until we were peering over that ledge.
Yeah, I can't remember when, but
yeah,
I was playing it with my girlfriend, and I think it was episode 4. She just went, "Oh yeah, I bet he's the bad guy." I was like, "How do you know this?"
I feel like some people are just like, "Oh, that's a bad guy." Like some people are really good at it.
I think it's because he was being overly nice. He was saying like, "Oh, you don't have to pay then," and you kept getting those letters through the door of just random stuff he's done for you, and then. So it's sure, the vibes are off. There's something going on.
The vibes, your vibes are off. You tried to throw me down a mine shaft.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I was just saying that I actually had a bit of a moment like that in episode 2, just before I saw the spoiler. I thought, if we follow Mr. Jefferson logic, he's the bad guy. So then when I had that confirmed, I was like, great.
Yeah.
We're just doing that again, are we?
I think they did a really good job hiding that he was the villain, though, to the best of their abilities.
What is funny, just a quick aside before I forget, during the LARP, if you go back into the tavern, there's a, what is it? There's a thing you can interact with, and Alex will say something like, "Oh, it's really cool of Jed to pretend to be the villain," and because I already knew he was going to eventually be revealed to be the villain, I thought, "Oh, that's pretty funny." Just
okay.
Yeah,
that was sort of foreshadowing,
sure.
I guess. Yeah. Because he was the good king that turned out to be the villain, sort of a thing. That was really that's really good. So let's talk about the LARPing bit for a second, because we got to wrap up soon. I fucking loved that. Did everyone notice where the music was from? I noticed very quickly.
Yeah, it's Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it was Chrono Trigger. That was I was like, oh fuck, how'd they get that? And I was like, oh, this is Square Enix. I forgot.
Yeah, I wonder what that conversation was like. Hey, this legendary IP that you continue to pretend like it doesn't exist. Can we use the music?
Much like the mineshaft collapse, Square Enix has tried to cover up the release of Chrono Trigger for the last few years. Yeah, it's weird. But no, I really had a good time with that. Especially because it wasn't that long. I think if that had gone on a lot, a bit longer, I might have started to not enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the boss battle was really fun and all that, and I talked my way out of some of the encounters too with Ryan wearing the fish head.
Yeah, I only
whatever.
actually did 1 or 2 encounters, the first one and the last one, just because you can get the snake dust and the goblin dust, or whatever, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
it was nice that they rewarded you for
going
exploring
about
quite a bit.
Exploring, yes, yeah.
I like the conversation you have with Steph, in character. You can flirt with her, but you're both playing these people. I thought that was good.
Nah, I had fun with that too. I think that an interesting thing I think about the ending for me was that if I had more people side with me at that confrontation, I think I would have chosen to stay in Haven Springs. But because literally everybody turned on me except Steph, I was like, this town does not deserve me. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That was kind of my reaction.
That's definitely going to influence it. Because I had most people, side of me. The main one that didn't was Ryan, but even then he apologizes afterwards. So I definitely...
What a fucking oaf.
What a himbo,
Woodsman oaf. Also, sorry, I'm mad that I was not able to hook up him with Diane, the evil person running Typhon. That was extremely funny.
Oh yeah, so the whole point there is that apparently you're meant to pick the one you want to romance. But I picked Steph because I knew I probably wasn't going to romance her, and I was like, let's get them two together. But that accidentally set me down the Steph romance path, so I had to quickly...
Well, it's because you're telling that person that you think they're hotter.
So that makes sense. Anyway, Ryan's a himbo king. I forgive him. I stayed in...
Didn't you say the same thing about that guy from Mass Effect? What was his name?
Oh, God. No.
The fucking...
I don't think the human guy in that I, romance to an unhealthy degree as a himbo, to be honest. He's got potential.
No, okay.
He's got potential.
Interesting.
Dragon Age has a lot of himbos. That's a good series.
Yeah.
So.
And also Solus.
Oh, don't remind me. An egg.
None with quite as much flannel as Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. It's the flannel. It's the whole lumberjack aesthetic, really.
Mountain
he is
Man.
Dexter season 8.
He is Jesus Christ. Oh. Oh, my heart. Also, like, as, like, the person who was, like, the most obsessed with Dexter when it was coming out and watched it week to week for 8 fucking years, and then was, like, I felt like Showtime sent people to my home to literally hit me in the head with, like, a cast iron pan at the finale. The trailer for the reboot actually looks pretty good. Like, I'm actually quite interested, and I think it could be good. I agree. Weirdly.
I think it's very, very unusual. Yeah, I was a huge Dexter fan as well, but I think it's very unusual for one of these huge networks to basically acknowledge their mistakes.
Yeah, and they brought back the original guy who made the good seasons and was like, can you come back and make another one?
Maybe we'll have the same for Game of Thrones a decade from now.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, let's wrap it up. Does anyone have any like final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to say, talking on Jed's mistake and the implications that has for the story, how do we feel about John Chin being one of those miners?
Yeah, that was I felt like it's a kind of a necessary inclusion at that point, because it's like, I felt like...
I actually agree with that. Like, I don't know that needed to be there, but I think it sort of just like made the reality of I think it was more of a connective tissue so that she could experience all of these things again for us to see in a weird way.
That's
like, it was almost an excuse for the game to like show us who he was and why it connected to the story currently being told.
And that flashback scene, it was so weird because now I love the music in these games, but they're all like a very specific genre. And now when she puts the headphones on and it's Dido, but I thought it was Stan. Like, I thought it was going to be an Eminem song.
Dude, I thought it was Stan too. I was like, oh shit.
I was like, this is just going to be wild.
Yeah, actually, we didn't even mention. I do want to throw out. I gotta run soon, but like, I do want to throw out like, holy shit, like the chapter 5 of like finding out like her past and everything. I was
brutal.
Like, Alex is like, that was fucking brutal. Like, I am surprised that Alex is as like sane as she is, and she's not like the most sane person, but like the fact that she's like a functioning member of society after living a life like that is like beyond incredible to me.
Same with Gabe.
Yeah,
in
real.
Gabe, yeah,
oh my God, yeah. Like that's when the tears started coming for me because so I worked in a place not very similar because they weren't orphans, but I worked in the YMCA for about 2 years. So a lot of it was very relatable, and it just sort of drove home like, holy shit, this is what the kids' lives were like. You know, I didn't think I kind of knew, but I didn't really appreciate because it's kind of something that in society we kind of like just to ignore that this is a reality of how a lot of kids are being raised. But it just put a very uncomfortable light on it, and it was such an amazing sequence. I'm glad that was in.
I think we need to talk about and acknowledge that, the YMCA in the UK seems to be a different organization than how it is in the US.
Specify that, it's just where kids run away from homes stay. I think it's very different over here.
Right, here it's a place that you go to exercise, and I don't think they do anything else there.
No, definitely not that here.
It's just a gym, yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. So, I guess if anyone has anything else to throw out quickly.
And the whole game, now you hear about Izzy, like Steph's friend, and she was in the band. The whole time I was waiting for her to show up, and you know the bit when it's like, oh, what band is going to play at the festival? I thought they were going to show up. So I'm hoping that's in the DLC.
Oh,
there's going to be a DLC about Steph, so I think
because I feel like they were setting something up and then it just never came. I don't know, obviously it's just backstory, but like.
Also for the Wavelengths DLC, I've heard it maybe implicated. It will kind of explain what happens to Steph between Before the Storm and Life is Strange 1, perhaps, to explain why she's not in Arcadia Bay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. I know that this would be very hard to do just because of like the ending being so different, but like I really would love to see like a DLC like so that I could see like a little bit of like Alex and Steph's like life on the road.
That would be
like
cool.
I really, really want to see that.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna see like Chloe in the crowd at a show.
Oh, that would have been pandering to the best degree.
Like after all those emotions they made us feel, the least they could do is a little bit of pandering.
Okay, all right. Well, I do have to run, so let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us for our little spoiler cast today. And we'll get back to you with a good new real episode soon. I think we're gonna do Because I know Deltarune Chapter 2 just dropped. I think we might do one on Undertale.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, have you played Undertale, Rhea? Of course you haven't. All right.
No, I have actually.
Have you
I watched
really?
it on YouTube, so I basically played it.
Same thing.
That's good enough. You did the same thing that 75 million other
Exactly.
people did. All right. I only played 3/4 of the game myself. I watched the rest on YouTube. Shh. Okay. So anyway, let's close out of here. But yeah, thank you for joining us. So Adam or DJ, if one of you has like a signature sort of catchphrase that you like always say, like you're saying all the time, could you kind of throw that out there to kind of close us out?
I'm gonna give it to DJ.
Oh boy. Peace.
Yeah. No, it's not. All right, bye.